The equipment held up incredibly well. I mean, we didn't have one problem with humidity and we didn't have one problem with the heat. And in India, actually, they'd had one of their hottest summers for years. And I think in Delhi, it reached 50 degrees. But the camera performed incredibly well. When you're somewhere where the landscape is so magnificent and the landscape is so important to the film, and everything that you can see is really important, so you're not trying to hide anything in the background, you know, HD is exactly what you want. The detail that it has and the clarity that it brings to the screen is incredible. And frankly, you know, it also, of course, it'll give it a shelf life, which is essential now in the market. And it was really just such a privilege to do it on HD, because in no way was it a problem. But to be fair, we had a cameraman who just absolutely understood it and was able to get the best out of it. In terms of working on HD, the only real issue that we had was that we also had to produce 5.1 surround sound. And technically that was, you know, a bigger challenge than you would normally have on Digi or on standard def. And also, of course, cost-wise, it's a big consideration when you're doing a HD production. If the delivery is required in 5.1 surround sound or Dolby surround sound, then, you know, you really have to consider that when you're budgeting, because it was certainly something that cost us far more than we'd anticipated. In India, I succumbed to Cryptosporidium, which is a bug that lives in water that's been contaminated with sewage, so that's nice to know. And I came down with it in a hotel in Haridwar. We considered sending me to the hospital in Haridwar, but we sent a reconnaissance force to the hospital to sort of, you know, work out whether it was a good idea to send me there. They came back and they said, no, we don't want you to go to the hospital there. We get a doctor to come out and tend to you in the room. So he came out, and I was to be honest, I was really quite ill and I was slipping in and out of consciousness. But I do have vague recollections of the poor assistant producer, whose first foreign shoot this was, right? The poor assistant producer having to take the string out of her pyjamas to hold the drip up above my bed to tie it to the wall. And then I had a doctor who insisted on watching Bollywood movies all through the night as he was sat by my bedside. We then had a storm, and the poor assistant producer and the doctor basically had to take buckets to try and get the water out of our room because it flooded our room because the storm was so horrendous. The next morning they sort of got me to Delhi, and I went to a private hospital there, which was, you know, fantastic facilities there. First thing the doctor said to me was, yeah, how long have you had the heart murmur? And I went, I haven't got a heart murmur. And he went, yeah, you have. And I went, right, so now I've got Cryptosporidium and a heart murmur. And it's just not looking good, is it? So they diagnosed a heart murmur there. The crew went on to film in Kanpur and on to Varanasi from there. And after about 3 days of lots of saline and lots of antibiotics, I caught up with them in Varanasi.